In 2017, the internet quietly split into two distinct blocks. The first block, led by China, would become dominated by so-called super apps, or everything apps that were packed so full of features that they aimed to replace most, if not all, your apps in a single package. From WeChat to Alipay, grabbed Gojek, Paytm to Line, and more. Each market would grow local champions that would take over whole industries. China's WeChat grew to have well over 1 billion users, of which almost 1 billion use it as an actual super app regularly. Ordering, takeout, buying train tickets, booking taxis, and so on via the app. At the same time, Indonesia's GoTo Group, for example, claims that transactions over its platform account for around 2% of their home country's GDP. These apps absolutely rule over many of their countries, especially in Asia, and their users often rave about the incredible conveniences they offer. Meanwhile, in the second block that includes Western countries and most of the rest of the world, the super app model just has not worked at all. Everyone from Meta to Uber and even Snapchat have set building a super app as their official strategy at one point, but they have all failed so far. So it's extra curious that Elon Musk announced that he will now try again. Twitter has just been renamed to X to signify this, and Elon Musk even declared in an interview recently that he thinks that X could take over half of the world's entire financial system if it was turned into a super app. So why did super apps work in some countries, and why did they not work in others? And can X finally do what all the others have failed to do here in the West? Let's find out in this video. In January 2024, Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba and Alipay, declared that his company had been brutally attacked, calling it his Pearl Harbor moment. The aggressor shaking his empire to its core was WeChat, the leading Chinese messaging and social media app that launched so-called digital rat packets back then. In China, it is customary around Lunar New Year for people to gift each other cash in little red paper packets, and WeChat, which had just launched a mobile wallet a few months earlier, it figured out that it could digitize this process instead of paper packets with paper cash. People could message each other with animated stickers that carried digital cash. 40 million red packets were sent just over the holidays alone, meaning that almost overnight, tens of millions of consumers activated their WeChat wallets and connected their bank accounts to them so they could withdraw their gifts or send new ones. This brilliant move that Jack Ma's only paid the dominant mobile wallet suddenly became a serious competitor. And this new competitor then went off and started the super app age in China. Widget had just successfully combined payments and instant messaging into a single app, two things that were previously completely separate things. And since that match worked out great, they quickly added more. So they first built a bunch of things to pay for. These included letting people top up their phone bills and pay for utilities by rail and flight tickets, etc., right from the app. But then in 2017, they made a really big move when they officially launched their so-called mini programs. These are basically third-party apps that users could download and open inside the WeChat app, and they were an incredible success right from the start. A simple game called Calatel apparently got over 400 million players in its first 3 days, and soon every organization that you can think of launched a mini program. From international brands like McDonald's, KFC, Walmart, and more, to local companies and public transport agencies. There are now at least 4.3 million mini programs on WeChat alone, which is more than the number of apps that are on Apple's or Google's app stores. And on WeChat alone, many programs now get 928 million active users every month. So now, an app the size of Twitter will just disappear overnight, but divert resources from this to build a payments app instead. That seems like a massive risk. X only had 1,300 employees after X fired 80% of the company. Paytm, for example, has 15,000 focusing on payments in a single country, building out all the integrations and dealing with compliance, fraud, and everything, which is a huge workload for any company. We're just convinced that Twitter is in the position to just give away all these resources so that they can focus on that instead of the core business. I mean, creating a bunch of payment features and kind of jamming them into the core social media app might actually make the social media app worse because of the whole bloat that this adds. Remember, Western consumers have historically shown a preference for focused apps that only do a few things, but do those really well. So these integrations risk annoying people who just want to tweet. Now, a Western super app is inherently a bad idea, and maybe Elon Musk is even the person to do it because he kind of warps reality around him. So many things can happen there, but I do think it is going to be an incredible challenge. As Bloomberg's Matt Levine wrote, Musk didn't want Twitter for its employees whom he fired its code, which he regularly trashed its brand, which he abounded, or its most dedicated users, whom he is working to drive away. So there is not a whole lot of overlap between Twitter and the payments app. So to illustrate a point, imagine that Elon Musk actually took the $44 billion that he spent on Twitter and instead built a payment app from scratch. For that, he hired an insane 10,000 employees from day one and paid them an average salary of $200,000 each. That is only $2 billion for a year. Then throw in the cost of servers, rent, bribe officials, and other stuff. Surely able to develop a solid payments app for $4 billion in a year. Now, he still has a pretty crazy $440 billion that he can spend, and he does not have to deal with social media apps on the side that are still losing money for him every month. So he can just buy users for now. So to illustrate a point, imagine that Elon Musk actually took the $44 billion that he spent on Twitter and instead built a payment app from scratch. For that, he hired an insane 10,000 employees from day one and paid them an average salary of $200,000 each. That is only $2 billion for a year. Then throw in the cost of servers, rent, bribe officials, and other stuff. Surely able to develop a solid payments app for $4 billion in a year. Now, he still has a pretty crazy $440 billion that he can spend, and he does not have to deal with social media apps on the side that are still losing money for him every month. So he can just buy users for now. For example, he could give the first 40 million people who connect their bank accounts and get 3 friends to sign up $1,000 each to spend via his app. And that is it. He has a fully featured payments app with 120 million accounts created right out of the gate now. Obviously, this is a wildly oversimplified scenario, but it shows how absurdly large sums of these sums are, and just how convoluted a path Elon has chosen to take for this. There were probably many better ways to attempt building a super app than by trying to contort Twitter into becoming one. Share your thoughts with us on this super topic, and we will meet you in the next video.